2009, I went to this Miami Heat preseason game, and the season ticket salesperson guy came to my seats, and he was trying to sell me season tickets, and he's like, yo, you should get these tickets. They'd be a good investment. Even if you don't go to the games, you could just sell the tickets off. And I'm like, man, the Heat not even that fun to watch. And he said, well, Pat Riley's saving up money. They trying to get these other guys, maybe Boozer, maybe Amari Stoudemire, maybe Chris Bosh. And even with those guys, Pat Riley's saving up enough money to get 3 people. With Wade and one of those guys, LeBron James might come play for the Heat. I'm looking at this dude like, come on, man. Be serious. LeBron James is not leaving Ohio to come play for the Miami Heat. Let's get into the Q&A.
DreAllDay.com.
What's up, y'all? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Yes, that absolutely is a true story, what I said in the beginning right there. If you didn't hear the whole story, you can watch it on my Dre Stories channel, which is youtube.com/Dre Baldwin. But what we're here for today is the Q&A, which I do every single week. This video posts on Saturday mornings. I record the video on Friday afternoon. So right now it is Friday, February 20th, 2015 is about 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you leave a question or comment in the comments to this video, which will become, my responses will become the next Q&A, because this is Q&A number 59. So Q&A number 60 will just be my responses to your comments to this video. Make sure you leave them before Friday to make sure that I actually see your comment/question and get a chance to respond to it. What else do I want to say before we get into this? The diet and nutrition video, where I asked all of you, I solicited your questions about diet and nutrition. I will be recording that this weekend. So if you do have a question or comment and you didn't post it yet, I might not be able to get to it because I might have already recorded it by the time you see this video. But there will be more of the diet and nutrition. So for those of you who don't know about the diet and nutrition video series I have been doing, go to my main channel page, which is, you just click on my name down there, take it to my main channel page, and you can see the diet and nutrition playlist, where I have several videos and also have an entire page on my website, which is called DreAllDay.com, dedicated to diet and nutrition, because I know a lot of athletes have questions about that. But anyway, right now we're here for the general Q&A, where people can ask me questions about anything. Don't mean I'm gonna answer it, but 90% of the time I will. Actually higher than 90%. But anyway, let's just get right into it. Enough talking. First of all, first question is Tommy Salami. I don't know if that's his real name, but okay. He says, Dre, thanks so much for answering my question last week. I asked why I couldn't dunk after a year of plyo and weights, and I recommended the jump manual. Last week, Tommy asked me a question. He said he'd been doing all these plyo and weight training, and plyometrics and weight training, and he wasn't able to dunk. And I told him, well, go get the jump manual. And he says the workouts he has been doing are from the jump manual. So what do I think he should add or change? More running / playing basketball? Well, Tommy, the jump manual is a 12-week program. So if you've been doing the jump manual for a whole year, then you aren't following instructions. So I don't know if you're doing the jump manual, or you took certain elements from the jump manual and you did them for an entire year. Because if you did that, based on the wording of your question, then that means you're doing it incorrectly. Doing more of something is not always equal to doing it better. So the jump manual is 12 weeks for a reason. It's not 16 weeks, it's not 8 weeks, it's not 52 weeks. You do the program exactly as prescribed for 12 weeks, and you'll get the results that are guaranteed from that program. So if you've been doing it for a year, then something is wrong there, Tommy. There's a disconnect somewhere in there. So what I would suggest you do is take about 6 weeks off from doing any of that plyometrics and vertical jump training, or whatever you've been doing for your legs, because your muscles need to recover. And then do the program, the actual jump manual, as you're supposed to do it for 12 weeks, exactly as the program says. Not more, not less, not different. Next question is JCTV. Says, who do you think has the best jump shots in the NBA? Well, I would say the best jump shots are the people who make them the most. So I would say probably like a Stephen Curry, a Kyle Korver, or whoever else is up at the top of actually making jump shots from the outside. So I don't go by like what I think, the way they look, or none of that subjective shit. I go by the objective, the actual results, because all that matters is if the shot goes in or if it doesn't go in, right? Next, Fresh LB15 says, I know you say you wouldn't care about which team you will play for in the NBA. So here we go with the same question again. And he says, say you play on any team, but if the Miami Heat, he puts your Miami Heat in all capital letters. I don't know how they became mine. But anyway, he said, they offered you a deal and another team did, like the Lakers or the Jazz, the same amount of money, and don't say that you wouldn't take the Heat deal. I know you're modest and would be grateful anywhere, but come on, thanks, homie. Well, if I would, so he's saying if every team in the league offered me a deal at the same time, which team's deal would I take? Well, maybe the Heat deal would be good because I live in South Florida, maybe because of proximity, but other than that, there would be no other reason. Maybe I would weigh the situation as to where it'd be the best situation basketball-wise. But again, this is another hypothetical that really, there's nothing else I can say about that. Next question. Why people keep asking me that, I don't know. Nadav Haber says, I've been following your off-the-court workouts, which are great. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Nadav. He says, can you go into some detail about how these workouts helped you in game situations? Well, I don't have to go into any detail, Nadav. You could just watch the videos where I play in games and you can see what I'm doing in the games. And if you need some more information on how an off-the-court workout translates into a game, then you can read up a little bit more on why basketball players or athletes in any sport train off the court. We call it functional training, which means a baseball player is going to do certain workouts that a basketball player or a football player is not going to do, because there are certain movements in each sport that pertain to that particular game. So what a football player works on, a baseball player is not going to do that exact same thing, because they be training for football movements and then they go play baseball. It's not really going to translate. So we call it functional training. If you want some more information on functional training, you can read up on it, and or you can get the Ultimate Athlete and Position of Power training programs at hoophandbook.com. But me, I am a basketball player. I'm not a specialist when it comes to conditioning, strength and conditioning, performance coaching. But I know someone who is. That's my trainer, Maria. She's actually the person who wrote those two programs. So she has more information than I do. I follow her information because I trust that she knows what she's talking about, and I can see from the results I've had that she does. Next, Jay Plaza says, I wanted your opinion on casual sex for athletes. Could it hurt athletes? Is it better to not do it at all? Thanks. Well, it could hurt you if you were to contract a sexually transmitted disease such as the HIV virus or anything else like that. I guess that would hurt in more ways than one. But no, I don't think it actually hurts you. I'm not a specialist at that either. If you need some more detailed information, then you probably should consult someone who knows it a little bit better than I do. I don't think casual sex hurts athletes. No, it doesn't hurt you. I think sexual contact, for whether you're homosexual, heterosexual, bisexual, trisexual, whatever you are, I think that actually helps, because it's part of our DNA as human beings. We want sexual contact. That's why men are attracted to women and women attracted to men, and whatever, men attracted to men, whatever your preference. This is a no judgment zone over here at the Work on Your Game channel. But no, to answer your question, it does not hurt athletes. Jabel Sosa says, Dre, how do you feel about the AAU circuit in basketball? I know Kobe said he hates it, and other former players too. What's your opinion on it? I don't really have an opinion because I don't follow AAU basketball at all. I don't have any kids. I don't really watch high school basketball. I don't even watch college basketball. So I really can't really tell you anything else about AAU besides I don't follow it. So I really wouldn't put out an opinion out there because I don't really have any information. Someone asked me that last week also. Irving Fan 2563 says, if you don't mind explaining, what is the story / meaning of your tattoos? I've answered this before, but it's been a few months. I only have 3. So I have one here that says Superstar. There's one up here. This is Chinese. It means ambition. And this says energy, persistence, preparation, and boldness. Those are the only tattoos I have. So there's no explanation needed. Keelan Carey says, do you have other sports you like to watch too besides basketball at any skill level? I watch a little bit of football, like the Super Bowl and the playoffs. That's about it. Elias and the Olympics. When the Olympics come around, I watch that. Elias Rodriguez says, I made the mistakes of prioritizing basketball over academics because I currently have a D plus grade-wise, he's saying, in physics and in calculus. My parents grounded me so I can't play basketball. Your videos have helped me realize why I need to be motivated to do the best I can on the court and in the classroom. So keep up the great work. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Elias. Stay in school. Reading is fundamental. Don't do drugs. Keep up your schoolwork. Next. Yoel Guide says, Dre, when you're working on drills in the gym, how do you know what drills to do? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of dribbling, shooting, and other drills but I know you don't do it all in one workout. So why do you pick specific ones over the other? Well, that's a good question. I pick things based on what I feel like I'm going to need and whatever I'm going to do next. So if I feel like if I'm looking forward to playing in some 5-on-5 game and I know I'm going to be needed to hit some outside shots, and I work on some outside shooting. Or if I know I'm going to be using some post moves, I might work on some post moves. Or if I know I'm going to be handling the ball, I'll work on some ball handling. And if it's a combination of all of those things, then I'll work on all of them in one workout. And you don't have to work on everything in one workout, because usually, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, I usually practice 10 to 20 to 50 times for every one time that I play in a game. So I have plenty of time to work on everything I need to work on between playing in a game. So even if I was to play a game every day for a week straight, I might go 3 weeks straight and not playing any games. Or if you just factor in years and years of working out, I spent way more time practicing than I have spent playing. So there's plenty of time to work on different things. So whatever it is you want to have in your game, or sharpen in your game, or maintain, that's the thing you should prioritize. DeMarcus says, what is considered too old for basketball? My cousin thinks that Tony Parker can't be one of the best point guards, but I think he's wrong as long as Tony keeps working on his game, at least for the next few years. Well, there's really nothing that's considered too old. Too old is an opinion. Too old means when you say something is too anything, that means you're giving an opinion. So your cousin has the opinion that Tony Parker's too old, that's fine. He's entitled to his opinion. Somebody else might say that Tony Parker is the perfect age. Somebody else might say he's too young. And they're not right or wrong. It's just an opinion. So there is no such thing as too anything. Tay Sheen 24 says, Dre, much love. What other dunks are you capable of besides a simple 1 or 2 hand dunk? By the way, I like to give a shout out to somebody who he named. I'm not shouting him out because I don't know who the hell that is. But what other dunks am I capable of? Well, if you watch through my videos, I actually have a playlist called Dunks. So you can watch that playlist and you can see right there. Next, Top Knot Sports. He says, outside of what you do basketball-wise, what is your career/job? Well, my career is minding my business. And I'm not even saying that to be smart, but I really mean actually minding my business, which means paying attention to what my business is and not paying attention to what anyone else's business is. And I think if everybody in the world did that, then there probably wouldn't be questions like yours. So Top Knots, don't take it personally, but that's my answer to your question. Michael Satumba says, do you meditate? What are your thoughts on meditation? Yes, I actually do. I kind of do different ways. Some people do meditation where you just sit quietly and close your eyes and just breathe deeply for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I used to do it that way. I actually made a video about that in my weekly motivation series. If you haven't been watching that long, you probably haven't seen it since you're asking this question. But now I'll do something where I just kind of go somewhere where it's quiet, or make an area quiet, and I look through things. I might look through notes of mine, I might look through ideas that I have, or I might just sit quietly and think about stuff. I don't always just close my eyes and breathe, because then I might fall asleep, which happens to a lot of people sometimes in meditation. So there's different ways of doing it, but whatever it is, the purpose of meditation is kind of to center yourself. Just give yourself a basis for starting your day, or continuing your day, or ending your day. So whatever you need to do to make that work for you, you do it. So each of us is different, so not everybody has to do it the exact same way. So those are my thoughts on meditation. John Pierre says, whoever says you never answer questions needs to stop being childish and get over it. I agree with that. Next, Jake Morton says, Dre, thanks for responding to my question. It's greatly appreciated. You make great videos that are helpful. Have you ever had self-doubt? Like when you get to the point where you feel like you can't get any better no matter how hard you try, how do you push through this? Well, there's kind of two different parts to that question. I don't think they exactly connect. I've had self-doubt, of course. When I was in high school and I was coming up in basketball, especially as a teenager, years where I wouldn't make certain teams or get cut from the high school team, or even when I got kicked off the team when I was in college. You can read about all this in my book called Buy a Game at DreAllDay.com/buy-a-game, BUYAGAME, and that's a free PDF right there, that link that I just gave you. So yes, I've had self-doubt in those situations. And the second thing he said, a point where you feel like you can't get any better no matter how hard you try. No, I've never had that situation, because there's no perfect basketball player out there in the world. So whatever it is your game is, if you feel like you can't get any better, then what you need to do, Jake, is go find somebody who's better than you and ask that person what they think you can add to your game. And I'm sure they'll give you at least 3 things you can add to your game, and those will take, each one of those will take a while for you to add. So there's never been a point where I felt like I couldn't get any better, because there's always something to get better at. And then the things that you are good at, you always got to keep working on them so that you maintain them, or else you'll lose those skills. So there's a never-ending cycle. If you're going to play any sport, you always have to keep sharpening your skills and adding new skills. There'll never come a point where you're like, all right, I'm perfect and I don't ever have to work again, because you always got to keep working to maintain it. Next is student of Kobe 24. He says, how do you approach a woman and meet more beautiful women? Well, I actually just made a video about this on my Off the Court channel, which is YouTube/Dre All Day, and it's called I think it's called How to Get More Females Part 1. So you need to go over to that channel and watch that video, because I just addressed that specifically. Next is Leo Galloso. Says, Dre, do you have any tips about having more confidence when playing games at the park against people you don't know? He says this situation was he was playing with some friends in 2-on-2, and he was doing well, but when his friends played 4-on-4 against some other guys, he was missing his shots, he lost his confidence. And then he also says, if you play against Devin Williams, the creator of 10,000 Hours, who will win? Keep up the great vids, I love them. Well, I'll answer the second part first, because that's the easiest part to answer. I actually did a Q&A with Devin in the summer of 2013. So if you go to my Q&A/collaborations playlist, you'll see that me and Devin actually did that Q&A together. If we was to play in a game against each other, who would win? I would win. Now, to answer your question about how to play better against people you don't know, you need to play against more of them. It's like I made a video probably about 3-4 weeks ago how to play as good as you practice. So you need to watch that video, because I address this. As people always ask us, they say when I'm playing with my friends or by myself or with my team, people I'm familiar with, I play well. But then when I play in a situation with people I'm unfamiliar with or in unfamiliar circumstances, I don't play as well. So this is the exact same thing. So go watch that video and you'll learn exactly how I explain that and how you can apply it to your own game, your own situations, and improve your performance in the situations you're asking about. Next question, Dalton Lise says, last week I asked the question, what are your thoughts on AAU versus high school? So this is the person who asked that question I referenced earlier. He said he should have been more specific. So let's see what his more specific question is. He says he plays both. He was wondering what I think, he said you in all capital letters. What do I think of the pros and cons of AAU and high school basketball? He wants to know a perspective of someone who's already played at the next level. Well, the funny thing is, Dalton, even though I have played at levels higher than those, I didn't play that much in high school. I played 1 year and I averaged 2 points a game. I barely played, and I didn't play AAU at all. So I don't really have any experience on either one of those, even though I went on to play in college and went on to play professionally. So there's really nothing I can tell you about either. I don't watch either. I have no experience in either, and I don't consistently deal with anyone who has experience in either. So it's really nothing I can tell you. If I was to give you any opinions, I'd just be throwing out stuff that has no basis whatsoever, because I have no experience in it. So I like to stick to things in which I know what I'm talking about, which means things that I've actually experienced. Those things I have not experienced, so I don't really have anything valuable to give you. Next question. John Newman says, what is the true meaning of hard work? Well, that's for you to decide. Hard is another one of those opinion words. Hard, easy, difficult, too much, those are all opinion words. So when anyone who uses them is not right or wrong, it's just their opinion of what it is. Because for example, you ever see somebody on TV, those strongman competitions where they put a rope, they grab a rope and they pull a car and they see how far they can pull a car in 60 seconds. For them, for one of those guys, it might be easy, but for one of us, it might be hard, because we probably can't even move the shit. So it's relative. For him, he might say pulling the car is easy, and one of us might say pulling the car is hard. That's a rough explanation, a rough example, but hard is a very relative word. So when you say what's the true meaning of hard work, you define what hard work is for you, John. I've heard one person say, though, a good thing I heard somebody say was hard work is relative to what you're used to doing. So if you're used to working at this level and then you go to this level, that's hard work. But somebody who's used to being at this level and then they go to that same level, then they're doing less than what they're capable of. So it's all relative. Next question. Young Prodigy TV says, how do I get a quicker release shot? Well, if you want to release your shot quicker, you need to practice quicker. If you want to dribble quicker, practice dribbling quicker. You want to run faster, you got to practice running faster. And everybody can always, you can always increase your output level. So whatever level you're going at now, as far as the release of your shot, you can always do it quicker. And it'll probably be uncomfortable at first. You'll probably miss a lot of shots and it won't feel right. Whatever way you feel is right, it probably won't feel right because you're not used to doing it. But the more you practice it, the quicker it will get, the more comfortable it will become. And if that's what you want, then that's the way you get it. Next, Yorkun says, I'm 5'8", I can shoot and dribble. He plays guard, but whenever I get in the game, these don't work. I don't know what that means. He says he panics, he doesn't really dribble, and his dad says he needs to be more aggressive, but he doesn't think that's the only issue. So he's asking me for tips on how to be mentally ready and more aggressive in the game. I love your vids, keep it up. All right, so he's 5'8", he plays guard, and he has the ability to shoot and dribble, but when he gets in the game, he doesn't shoot and he doesn't dribble. And his dad says he needs to be more aggressive. And he doesn't think that's the only issue. So I get it that a lot of players, you probably have people say to you, yo, you need to be more aggressive. But if somebody tells you to be more aggressive, if you don't really have that much experience in the game of basketball, how valuable is that advice? It's not valuable at all. It's just more confusing shit that's just clogging your mind and giving you more things to think about, which is not going to help you at all. Because the ideal, which I tell people all the time, is you want to be playing off instincts. It means you're not thinking at all. You just react. You just respond in the moment without having to think. Because if you had to stop to think, the game's going to pass you by. The game moves too quickly for anybody to stop and think about what to do. By the time you decide what to do, the opportunity is gone. So what you need to do, Yorkin, first of all, you're going to need to play in more games so that you can get over whatever is stopping you. That mental block, that physical block that's stopping you from translating wherever you've been, you feel you know you can shoot and dribble, wherever you're doing that. If it's not translating over into the games, that means you need to play in more games, because you can shoot and dribble probably when you're practicing by yourself because you do it a lot, right? You can't shoot and dribble in the games because you probably haven't done it as much as you practice. When your game experience gets closer to your practice experience, it probably never will catch up, because most of us, almost any basketball player, is going to practice a whole lot more than they play. And if you're playing a serious player, I'm talking about a player who actually takes time to work on their game outside of playing in games. You don't just go to the park and play pickup, but you actually go to a court and practice by yourself or with a friend or with your team. Even if you're on the team, how many times do you practice compared to how many games there are in the season? There's a whole lot more time spent practicing. So you need to get some more game reps under your belt. And that can be pickup games, that can be rec league games, that can be for your school or for your team or wherever it is that you play. You got to get those reps under your belt. And another thing that you should do is check out that video I mentioned earlier, how to play basketball as good as you practice basketball. That video is where I explain in detail for all players how it is you translate that practice skill into the game skill. So watch that video. I made that video to address that question because I know a lot of players have that issue. Plusmaster 100 says, he was laughing about a comment I left last week, so I'm glad you like that, Plusmaster. Tough Tanny says, I want to ask you a question about how you make videos. Do you pre-plan your vids like you do them a couple of days before you release them on the net, or do you do it on the spot like an hour before the upload is when you just created it? I do both. Next, KCI Otella says, how much should I practice a day if I'm trying to go real far in basketball? All right, so here we go again with another one of these relative/opinion questions. Real far. How far is real far, KCI? So first of all, you got to define how far real far is. And the second thing you need to do is define where you are now. The third thing you need to do is figure out what is it going to take for you to get from where you are to where you want to be within a certain time frame, because we can't play basketball forever, because eventually physically you're not going to have the ability to play. So you need to figure out how far real far is, because he used the phrase real far. So I can't define what real far means for you. And first of all, real far is relative initially to where you are right now, because if you're here, real far, and to get here is not really that far maybe for you. But if you're here and you want to get here, then it's twice as long. So you have to define how far real far is, and then define where you are now, and then figure out what it's going to take to close that gap. Next, this guy's name is Post Moves. His question is, out of these three legends, who was the best low post player. So he names 3 people: Hakeem Olajuwon, Kevin McHale, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Well, post moves, I really am not, what's the word? I forget the word I want to use, but I'm not the person to really answer that, because those 3 guys were all kind of before my era. Hakeem Olajuwon was the only one who I really got much of a chance to watch, and I wasn't even watching basketball that hard when he was playing, when he was in his prime, because he came in the league in the mid 80s when I was barely old enough to walk. So Hakeem Olajuwon, Kevin McHale, and Kareem, I didn't hardly watch them at all, so I can't really objectively answer that question. Swaggy Mamba says, how can I play like Isaiah Thomas? What can I take from watching his film and mentality? And he's referring to the Detroit Pistons Isaiah Thomas, the one who played for the Bad Boys, not the current Isaiah Thomas, not the left-handed Isaiah Thomas. He says, hopefully his hoop handbook will come out one day. Well, yes, his hoop handbook will come out. I'm working on a new set of programs right now. They will be out sometime in 2015. They take a long ass time to write, so y'all just gotta hold up. Y'all just gotta hold up and wait on those. And how can he play like him? And what can you take from watching his film and mentality? Well, what can you take from it? You had to watch it and see what it is in his game that you want to add to your game, and then you go add those things to your game. Now, whatever skills it is you want to add to your game from his game, you can get those from my channel. You could also get them from hoophandbook.com, and you'll be able to get them before the end of this year from the Isaiah Thomas Hoop Handbook program. Next, Cristal Alicia says, you're a funny guy. You answer a lot of my questions just by the work on your fucking game logo, W-O-Y-F-G, W-O-Y-F-G. He says, the question is, do you ever hold back what you truly want to say? If you were, he says, if he was me, he would snap on some of these people, like the guy who tries to tell you how to answer questions. You do this on YouTube for free, so people need to chill. He says he lives in Florida. Is there any way I can meet up with you for a game? Maybe just in 21. I'll be working on my game for a few years. I would love to see how well I compare to the teacher. Oh, he said, this is my lady's YouTube. His real name is Raymond. Well, Raymond, thank you for the comment. I appreciate you watching these videos that I put out, and I appreciate the fact that you've improved your game from anything that I've been able to tell you and or show you here on YouTube. That's been my purpose, to help players who don't have the guidance that I didn't have when I was young. I wish there was a YouTube around, somebody putting out content when I was young, so I would actually have some kind of guidance. I didn't have, my dad didn't play sports, and I had no brothers, and there was nobody like in the neighborhood who took me under their wing to help me with my game. I had to kind of figure it all out, trial and error. So that's why I put a lot of this stuff out now, to kind of bridge that gap, to help some of you guys and girls get past things that I had to just figure out on my own. You can get past them by learning from somebody who's already been through it. But anyway, thank you for the comment, Raymond. Can we play 21? I don't know about that. I don't know if we're gonna be able to play 21. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. If you ever see me, let me know who you are, and maybe we'll be able to play right there on the spot. We'll see. Next, XDF says, I want to say thanks for your advice relating to having a bad game and then playing the next game like nothing happened or something along those lines. He said he went 0 for 8, and then the next game he had 25 because he was able to take my advice on going into the next game, forgetting about the previous game. So that's excellent. So keep that in mind. And even after that game you had 25, forget about that one, so you don't go into the next game complacent thinking that you already did your job because you had 25 last game. Next game is a brand new day, so you got to come out and get 25 again, or maybe 35. Next question. Giovanni Perdomo says, thanks for answering my questions. It really helped. I love your videos. Keep it up. You're welcome, Giovanni. I appreciate you for watching. Next, Ray G says, I play stiff on defense. Is there anything I can do to loosen up? Well, Ray, what do you mean by stiff? Some people use that phrase that they say they play stiff, or that my friends told me I'm stiff, or I did a move and it felt stiff. You have to give me a better definition on what you mean by stiff. Tell me something objective that I can understand. Because just saying stiff, because I could watch two different players, or watch the same player, two different people could watch the same player do something, and one player could say you're stiff, and another person could say you're perfectly smooth. That's kind of an opinion thing. Stiff is another one of those relative opinion words. I know sometimes people get upset when I say something is relative, but it is relative. You have to be more descriptive if you want me to be able to give you some information. And anything you can do to loosen up, yeah, there are plenty of things you can do to loosen up. Whatever definition is you have of stiff, doesn't matter. Plenty of things you can do to loosen up. You can probably work on your flexibility. You can work on making sure you warm up your body. Work on whatever it is you're not doing on defense. Because if you consider yourself stiff, that means you've probably seen somebody else do it in a way that you aspire to be. So why don't you start practicing in a way that you see that person moving, and then you'll start to move yourself closer to that ideal. Next, Retro Jordan 23 says, do you feel disappointed by this year's NBA dunk contest? Now, reading the question, I just got to remember what the dunk contest was. I mean, the dunk contest is boring now. It's not even exciting anymore. The actual All-Star weekend, the All-Star weekend is not even exciting. The only exciting thing about the All-Star weekend is just the fact that you got a bunch of stuff going on in the same place. That's the only thing exciting about it. The game itself is not that exciting. The best part is that you get all the best players on the court at the same time, but it's not really a serious game. So that's not really that interesting. The All-Star Saturday night is boring as hell now. Let's see, what do we got? We got the Shooting Stars competition where you got a NBA player, a WNBA player, and a retired NBA legend shooting. You know, basically what it comes down to is somebody making a half-court shot, right? That shit is, they can keep it in, but that's boring. Then you have the skills competition sucks. They need to just completely scrap that competition. Then you have the three-point contest is good. That's the only contest that's basically stayed exactly the same all these years, and it's still great. Three-point contest, you can keep that how it is. The dunk contest is whack. They only have 4 dunkers. First of all, you need to have more than 4 dunkers. There's so many great athletes in the NBA. For them to only pick 4 people each year is ridiculous. You need to have 8 contestants in the dunk contest, and you need to have the same people every year so they can defend their titles. So you had, like, Vince Carter won the dunk contest. He never did it again. Now, he probably just didn't want to do it, but I like to see when the same guy wins the contest and he comes back and keeps defending his title. So Zach LaVine won it this year. I like to see him come back next year and try to just keep winning the dunk contest. Just win the dunk contest every year for 10 years straight if he can. Last year, John Wall won it, so I guess this year he didn't want to do it anymore. Who knows? They might not have even asked him. LeBron James said he was going to do it one year. He was at the dunk contest. I guess he was hyped, so he figured he was going to do it the next year. Then he didn't do it, so he kind of went back on his words after he announced on national TV that he was going to do the dunk contest. So I don't know what that was about. Then you got a guy like Russell Westbrook. You want to get the superstars in there. That's why you got to have 8. Because you don't want to just have a bunch of guys that the casual fan has never heard of. The casual fan has never heard of Zach LaVine or Victor Oladipo, or I don't even know who else. Who else was in the dunk contest? I can't even remember. Oh, the Greek Freak was in the dunk contest, and who was the other guy? I don't even know. It doesn't even matter. The casual fan, which is my point. I'm not a casual fan, but I can't even remember their names. Nobody even knows who these guys are. What draws people in, the NBA All-Star Weekend is its flagship event. That's the event where you get casual fans watching just because they say, oh, it's the All-Star game, let me watch this just to see what's going on over here in this thing called the NBA. So you want to have your highlight stars, like the people who will actually draw fans in and bring somebody from being a not care about the NBA to, oh, I care about it because I saw this guy and he got my attention. You want to draw people in with those guys. So you want to get your flagship guys participating as much as possible so that casual fans become diehard fans. So you want to get a Michael Jordan participating. You want to get a Kevin Durant, a LeBron James in the dunk contest. You want to get a Russell Westbrook, a Kobe Bryant. You want to get those guys in it so that you draw more fans in, because us, those of you watching this video, most of us, we're already big fans of basketball. We're going to watch anyway. It's for the people, for our girlfriends or our moms or our dads, or the people who know what the NBA is, but they can only name like the big name guys. They can name Kobe and LeBron, but they don't know a Mario Chalmers or a Norris Cole or a Robert Sacre. They don't know or the Morris twins. They don't never heard of those guys, but they'll start watching if one of the superstars comes in and puts on a show at the one time that they happen to be paying attention. That's the purpose of the All-Star Weekend. It's not for us, it's for them. So you got to get a LeBron in there. How do you do that? They probably got to put up some more money. As much, all these sponsors that they got, these big sponsors, they got to put up money that would mean something to guys who already make 10, 20 million. So the dunk contest, first of all, they give 100,000 to the winner. You got to make it $1 million. Actually, if they really want to make it serious, they got to make it $5 million and allow some of the street ball dudes, like the guys on, some of these guys who be dunking on YouTube or whoever, Team Flight Brothers, they got to bring those guys in and let them compete against the NBA guys. And whoever wins the whole thing gets $5 million. Now, that will bring in some serious dunkers. Now, I don't care how much money you make, $5 million is a lot of money. LeBron James, a Kevin Durant, maybe a Russell Westbrook, they'll get in it if they see they could get $5 million for winning the contest. I know some purists might say, well, you should just be doing it for the love of the game and do it for the fans. Well, not everybody has that motivation, but if you put $5 million in a pot for something that somebody can win, they're probably going to try to get in that dunk contest. So they need to do that, number one. Number two, they need to get rid of that skills competition. That is just terrible. It's whack. It's not even exciting. Like the dudes who do the skills competition, I was watching the skills competition, right? And Jeff Teague had lost. And then like 10 minutes later, when I think the 3-point contest was coming up, I seen Jeff Teague sitting in the audience, like the second row right behind the bench where the shooters was. He probably didn't even take a shower. He didn't have to. He didn't even sweat. It took him like, he did like 2 minutes of work, running up and down the court 2 times with his uniform on. What the hell is that? Who cares about that? It's not interesting. It wouldn't, if I didn't watch basketball and I watched that, that wouldn't make me want to start watching the NBA. I'm like, what is this? This is supposed to be, this is what you do when you got the whole world watching. This is the event that you came up with. That's terrible. You need to get rid of that and make it one-on-one competition. Everybody's been talking about that for the last few years. Bill Simmons is the first person I heard really say it and really make it make sense. And another thing for the one-on-one competition, you got to put some money up, because all these players here got egos. And nobody wants to lose in a game of one-on-one with the whole world watching. So the only way you're going to get people to get in it is to put up some serious money. Who wouldn't watch Kevin Durant and LeBron play one-on-one, or Kobe and James Harden go one-on-one, or Steph Curry against whoever, name any other guard in the league, going one-on-one? I would watch that. Everybody would be watching that. And that would blow up the whole internet, social media, YouTube, everything, because everybody would be paying attention to watch the one-on-one games. The whole night could just be people playing one-on-one. I wouldn't care if it was 2 guys from the end of the bench. Who wouldn't want to see Nikola Vucevic against Steven, what's the dude from Oklahoma City? I forgot his name. See those 2 dudes go one-on-one. What's the dude? Joseph Nurkic. I'd pay to watch Vucevic and Nurkic go one-on-one in a game. Watch Kobe against Michael Carter Williams. Brandon Knight against Goran Dragic. Those are the kind of things we want to see. And then get the superstars in the dunk contest so that you can bring the casual fans in. So that's a long answer, but that's my answer for the NBA All-Star Weekend. Because right now the All-Star Weekend sucks. They're blowing a golden opportunity to get some new fans. Next question. YellNats1234 says, seems like tearing an ACL injuries are happening to many athletes. Do I know why this is a common occurrence, and what needs to be done to decrease the chances of it happening? I don't think an ACL injury is happening to a lot of athletes. I don't think it's out of proportion. Maybe a little bit higher than it's been in the past, just because people are more athletic, bigger, stronger, faster, you know, the cliche people say. I don't think it's happening so super amount. It's not like an epidemic or anything like that. The only difference nowadays is that our news cycle is so constant and everybody has access to it, that everything that happens, we all know about it. Whereas 10 years ago, we didn't always know about everything that was taking place immediately, and it wasn't made a big story of, because now everybody who got a blog or a job as a journalist, they're going to take every little thing that happens and make a column out of it, because that's how they make their money. So I don't think it's a big epidemic. And do I know why this is happening and what needs to do to decrease it? I absolutely do not. That is not my area of specialty. Next, Low Key Pete says, he has the Ultimate Athlete from hoophandbook.com. He also has the Jump Manual, which is at dreallday.com/jump. He says he knows he can't do both at the same time. Which one would I recommend him doing first, or does it not matter which one to start with? You should do the Ultimate Athlete first, because the Ultimate Athlete will build your athletic base. So it will strengthen your stabilizer muscles, and it will build every aspect of athleticism. And then you can work on the Jump Manual, which is more about explosive movement. So if you have that base of athleticism built up through the Ultimate Athlete, then you'll be more prepared for the Jump Manual. Next question, Amazing One says, can I tell him, or everyone I guess, what I do to stay in such good shape? Like, what do you eat and drink and things like that? Well, I've already addressed that at the beginning of this video. The diet and nutrition video will be coming out probably in the next week or two. I didn't actually record it yet, so I'm gonna record that this weekend. And besides eating and drinking, I actually work out. I work out every single day. So that's probably even equally, if not more important than what I eat and drink, is that I'm actually physically active. So you have to be physically active to be in shape, in addition to eating and drinking the right things. Next question. Lumumba Batalier says, how do I fix my drag foot? When I jump, I have a drag foot. Lumumba, I have no idea what you mean by saying that you have a drag foot when you jump. So you would have to explain that to me in order for me to answer your question. Anthony Titus says, I don't like disrespecting anyone on the court or off the court, and I rarely trash talk if we're not friends. But lately there's situations on court where he feels disrespected, and he tries to brush it off on the outside. Even if the outcome was a W, it really takes him out of his zone. Is that just him? Well, Anthony, I can't speak for any of the other people watching this video. It doesn't really happen to me, because I don't have a problem with trash talking. It's actually fun for me. It's like a separate sport outside of actually playing in the game. But you can ask some other people, some friends of yours. I guess you can ask them the question. But I really can't tell you anything, because that doesn't happen to me. Next question. Martin Ivanov says, would I post a video of my full workout so we can see what you work on by yourself? Well, Martin, if you was to take all the videos I put out and put them all together, you have more than enough full workouts. And I actually post a workout called the Drill Series Mixtape. I think I posted about 21 of them, where it is my full workout on the court. And I've also posted about 20 full off the court workouts. And if anyone wants to see any of my full workouts, guess what? I'm gonna wait for a minute so you can guess. All right, now I'll tell you, I got a playlist called Full Workouts on my channel. Next question. Harris Kaus says, why is physical strength a benefit in basketball, and which muscles help you the most? Well, physical strength is a benefit in basketball for the simple reason that basketball is a contact sport. Contact is allowed, so being physically strong can help you possibly overpower a defender, an opponent, and or stand your ground against an opponent. But there are 1,000 different nuances to how physical strength can help you. I'm not going to define or describe each one of those here. He says, which muscles help you the most? All muscles. Basketball is a total body sport. There's no muscle that should be neglected when training for basketball. And based on your question, Harris, I'm guessing you might not have that much information on strength in basketball. So I would suggest, just my suggestion, you don't have to, is that you check out the Ultimate Athlete and or Position of Power programs at hoophandbook.com, which cover strength and overall athleticism specifically for basketball players. Next question. Ballin' Buckets. He also made a comment about a response to a question I made last week. So I'm glad you like that, Ballin' Buckets. Two more questions. He says, Casual87 says, can you do a Victor Oladipo hoop handbook? Victor Oladipo, that's an interesting request. I'm not working on his right now. Maybe he'll be in the following batch. I got to see a little bit more of his game before I make that program. But thank you for the suggestion. Last question. Michael Patterson says, I'm scared of heights, so I'm scared of airplanes. How do I get over this fear? Well, I'm not a hypnotist. I don't specialize in that at all, Michael, so I really couldn't tell you. I'm not the person to answer that question. But if you Googled it, you could probably find somebody to do it. But I actually watched this Tony Robbins video where he had this guy who'd been stuttering for 20 years, and Tony solved his stuttering in like 10 minutes right there in a YouTube video. So maybe you could call up Tony Robbins and have him come help you with your fear of airplanes. But me, I cannot help you because I don't specialize in that. So that is it, everyone. Thank you for the questions for this week's Q&A. Again, you have a question or comment, leave it down there in the comments to this video. Actually, better off leaving a question, because if you just leave a comment, I might just read it and continue. But ask a question, leave it down here. One question per person. The best questions get answered. A good question requires more than a 10-second response from me, just so y'all know. That's it. Thank you for the questions, everybody. Work on your fucking game. DreAllDay.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here. And make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.